Meanwhile, India today has accessed exclusive satellite images of the Galwan Valley, the bloodshed spot where Indian and Chinese soldiers were engaged in a violent face-off. The images showed China's massive build-up. Ankit Kumar with this exclusive report.
Ladakh's new mountain of blood, that's what it's being called. As the body count piles up and India comes to terms with the brutal, premeditated bloodletting by the Chinese army, India today now shows you the battle zone in cold, stupefying detail. Take a close look at these satellite images from Planet Labs. Photographs taken less than 24 hours after the carnage on the night of June the 15th, capturing in stunning detail the full truth. What you're looking at is the first visual detail of where the Indian and Chinese troops brawled to the death. What these images show is that despite being massively outnumbered by Chinese troops and losing at least 20 men, the Indian side is holding its ground. High-resolution satellite images of Ground Zero from June the 16th show a massive continuing build-up by the Chinese side despite the de-escalation agreement at the Lieutenant General level 10 days prior. These satellite images from Planet Labs, reviewed by India today, nail the flashpoint between the two sides, Ladakh's new Himalayan blood zone. And here's what we can tell you about these images. Take a close look at this image from the Galwan Valley, where it clearly shows Chinese troops outnumbering Indian troops. An intense Chinese build-up is seen from the China side. At least 200 military vehicles are seen on the ground on the Chinese side, this despite a clear promise to disengage. Well, despite being outnumbered by the Chinese troops and facing horrific casualties, the images prove that Indian troops are holding their position strongly. The Indian Army has officially confirmed at least 20 Indian casualties and several injured in what was a bloody and brutal medieval-style brawl. And these images establish and prove China's direct treachery. Less than 10 days after agreeing to disengage and these images from the Galwan Patrol Point 14 show that China intensified its troop build-ups amidst the de-escalation process. If you look closely, you can see that the Chinese troops are distributed in three parts. The forward part is followed by two trails directed towards the line of actual control. The image from Tuesday shows hundreds of military vehicles lining up on the Chinese side, as well as encampments distributed in the middle and backward parts of the Chinese trail. On Tuesday, India today broke the biggest military story since Kargil. And now we bring you the first images of the battlefield and how China had no intentions to de-escalate. With Ankit Kumar in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's raise the big questions. What really happened in the Galwan Valley and what are India's options against China now? Joining me now, Ambassador Ashok Kanta, former envoy to China, is joining me. I'm also joined by Praveen Sawhney, editor Force magazine and one of India's leading defense analysts. Also joining us, Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, former Adjutant General of the Indian Army. He served in Ladakh. Appreciate all of you joining us. Let me come to you, Praveen Sawhney, because you have been writing about this for weeks now, and today you've tweeted suggesting question being debated in army circles. Why did 35 odd soldiers under a CO go unarmed to the Chinese side to tell them to vacate an area as per agreement? What are you trying to suggest? Do you believe at some level that the officers and the troops on the ground were left defenseless?
Yeah, see, Rajdeep, thank you very much. Let me give you the real picture. The real picture is that the Chinese could do a premeditated attack and they were prepared for it for the simple reason they knew that the Indian Army is not prepared for any war. And why I say that is that the troops were brought in from other sectors. They did not have a habitat. I mean, these are the basic things for any war. Okay, habitat, military ecosystem, no acclimatization, didn't have ammunition. Today, India Economic Times has carried a report that now they are trying to see how they can get the ammunition from abroad. They didn't have training, they didn't have orientation, and the most important thing, when you go on a front line, you go for a guarding duty, you don't go for a policing duty. You never go without your self-defense weapons. So to ask these brave soldiers to be there without their weapons, I mean, forget about all the training. The PLA side had all of this because they've been training there. They've been living in the Tibet Autonomous Region since 2018. Now, how can you ask? I mean, somebody needs to answer this in the government.
We were sitting ducks. Are you saying, Mr. Soni, we were sitting ducks?
Yes. Yes. And I think the senior most military officer obviously is the CDS. I'm not suggesting one bit that he would have given this order, but I'm certainly saying that this thing would not have happened without his knowledge. And this is the duty of the opposition party. It is a duty of the media to ask, how can you send the boys to the front line? I mean, this is all fine. You can make the graphics. The point is, you don't understand the war. You don't understand the PLA capabilities. And I'm not talking nonsense. These are hard facts. You see?
I'll come back to that in a moment. I'll come back to that in a moment, particularly the PLA capabilities. But General Rakesh Sharma, former Adjutant General, you served in the area. Do you believe that this area was such that the Chinese had some kind of an advantage? How do you interpret what happened on the ground? Oh, we've just lost Mr. Sharma's link. We'll try and come back to that in a moment. Ashok Kanta, why don't you take the diplomatic question? Let's look at India's realistic options now. We are told that the Ministry of External Affairs is in touch with their Chinese counterparts. But look at the two press statements by the two countries, diametrically opposite. China seems to be suggesting that India committed the act of aggression.
Yes, positions of two sides are opposed to each other, as you rightly pointed out. I think a good message has been conveyed today when External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar spoke to State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi, conveyed strong protest from our side, also put the onus squarely on the Chinese side for unfortunate incident which took place day before yesterday. And in the conversation, according to readout from our Foreign Office, an understanding was reached that consensus of 6 June arrived at between border commanders of two countries will be scrupulously implemented. I think that's a good beginning, but much more remains to be done.
The truth, sir. Mr. Kanta, can we trust the Chinese to be telling the truth here? They seem to be suggesting that it was India that crossed the line, that India crossed a red line. Can we really trust the Chinese, given that our perspective is so very different? We are claiming it's the Chinese who've committed the act of aggression.
From our side, it's very clear that Chinese side had crossed the LAC, because Galwan River Valley is not one area where we had differences on the alignment of LAC. So they have activated a new area. We need to maintain a very clear, firm, categorical position from our side that any resolution must involve restoration of status quo ante, both in terms of disengagement and de-escalation. This might take time. Our position has to be backed up by deterrence, by strength on ground. We should persevere. We should not go for any solution which will involve, restrictions.
Because the Chinese, Mr. Kanta, have a habit perhaps of saying that they are disengaging but continuing to occupy territory.
I think what's important, we must continue to verify. I'll recall our own experience in 2014 when we were asked to negotiate disengagement in Chumar and Demchok area. We just heard about what happened during visit of President Xi Jinping to India in September 2014. And the brief which was given to us was very clear that we must persuade the Chinese side to restore status quo ante as before 1st September 2014. And the understanding that we arrived at in Beijing involved verification on the ground. So any understanding must be backed up by clear verification.
Because the fear is,
we should not take Chinese side on face value.
Okay, we can't take the Chinese on face value. We've got to verify it on the ground. General Rakesh Sharma, your sense of what are our realistic options? You might have heard Praveen Soni suggesting that the PLA is an army that simply cannot be underestimated.
Thank you, Rajdeep. I fully understand what Mr. Praveen Soni has been saying in writing and speaking for a very long time. It is wrong to say that we were not trained. It's absolutely wrong to say we were not acclimatized. It's wrong to say that we were not trained. So the fact of the matter is that all this is given and we are acclimatized before reaching that area. The situation that is happening today has been arrived at in over a period of 10 years. when first time Samar Lumpa happened, and then thereafter Chumar happened, Raki Nala happened, Doklam happened, Chumar happened again, Pegongso happened again. It's been 10 years this situation has been coming to. And it's come to this pass when we had a situation day before yesterday when we lost 20 lives. So it is not that it has happened one fine night and one fine night we lose some people. So all this while we have been developing infrastructure, we have come to a pass that we are now ready to accept him. But why didn't carry weapons? Well, of course, these are questions of speculation and they must be asked from these people, and naturally investigations would take place. But the fact of the matter is that there is an appeasement policy of last 50 years with China on all fronts. We started talking in 81. We have a joint working group, 15 meetings, special representatives, border personal meetings, thousands of them which have taken place, but not an inch has been decided. And I would like to state here that anybody who says that the LAC in Galwan Nala was properly demarcated, well, I'll say no two forces have gone on ground and said, we decided, okay, this is the LAC. The Chinese never mentioned what is their LAC at all, Galwan Nala.
No, right.
There is no...
That exactly makes the situation even more complicated, given the fact that both sides don't seem to acknowledge where exactly the LAC lies in the Galwan Valley. Perhaps makes it that much more complicated. I just want to for a moment ask you, Praveen Sawhney, this, because you've gone to the extreme today of saying the PLA, the People's Liberation Army, is prepared for war, make no mistakes, but will not start one. That too is certain. Starting war means firing the first shot. Are you saying the strategy of the Chinese is 2 steps forward, try and take as much land as possible, and then try and consolidate in the name of disengagement without firing a shot?
See, Rajdeep, what you are saying is the strategy they would adopt with a country like America, which they see as a competitor. India is not a military competitor at all. That is one. Number 2, I said they don't have to fight a war for the simple reason that military coercion is working very well. And that is the reason that we had the soldiers there without the self-defense weapons. I mean, it is unthinkable in any professional army that you have a thing like this. The reason was that if you fire, the stated policy of the PLA is that we will not fire, but we will fight in self-defense. Hell would have loosened, and why I say that is, we don't even know. This army does not know, this military does not know that they can work in the virtual battlefield.
No, but the hand-to-hand combat, but Praveen, the kind of hand-to-hand combat that we are being told, the kind of weapons that allegedly the Chinese use, the bayonets, is this unusual?
They were prepared. No, they were prepared because they knew that these guys will not have the weapons. You see, we keep saying that in the name of national security, we should not talk all this, but they know everything. So they were well prepared. I mean, how more can the PLA be prepared? I mean, we actually got our boys butchered. I'm sorry to say that. I've been in the army. I feel very sorry. Whatever Rakesh can say, he has a liberty to say. What I'm saying is...
You're saying our boys were butchered. You're saying our boys were sent in a way, were sitting ducks. General Sharma, you want to respond to that? Do you therefore believe that something somewhere has gone wrong that requires a wider investigation, a culpability at some level?
Look, I am pained to hear the kind of words that Mr. Swami making. It's to say that people are butchered, they gave their lives. And, even the Chinese have come out with a fact that 30 of their people were killed. They have named them now. So, when we lost 20, we also killed 30 people. To say that we were ill-prepared and we were totally taken aback, I think you're getting facts all wrong.
Is that do you believe, therefore, if 30 were killed on one side and 20, this is of course not a cricket match, but do you therefore believe that we are adequately prepared? We are adequately prepared at the moment to strike back at the Chinese and take back if there is any territory that they've occupied in Galwan? Do you believe we are in a position to do that?
Absolutely right. We have to find the method for it. It has to be done. We have done it earlier in 2013. We did it in 2014. People do not know that we did a quid pro quo. We occupied some other areas which were bartered later. So we have to do a systemic to it. Okay. We have to plan for it. And let's
Praveen, you want to respond? Praveen, you want to respond to that we can do a barter day, that we can also strike back?
Yes, right. First of all, we cannot strike back, but let me just finish. These military people have a habit of saying that Schumer, we did this, Depsang. For God's sake, this is an absolutely different situation where 200,000 PLA troops since 2018 in their habitat, comfortably training, they've been sitting there, they've been firing, they've done calibration of their weapons, they are prepared for war. So, and they have done these massive multi-intrusions. This will call for an entirely new thinking now.
Okay.
I don't know what the general is talking about, Schumer, and where did Schumer come in?
Okay, so you believe this is an entirely different China and has to be dealt with at a very different aggressive, expansionist China.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me for a final word.
It is a different level.
Okay, let me come to Ambassador Kanta. Given that it's a different China under Xi, do you believe it calls for a different strategy of dealing with this China?
Yes, we shouldn't have any illusion that it's a China which is very assertive, which is becoming even more assertive in the COVID era. So we need to have a strategy of engagement which is backed up by adequate reinforced deterrence on our side, which is backed up by enhanced capability on our side. We must have a policy of greater balancing vis-a-vis China. Engagement is fine, but engagement supported by force on our side, strength on our side.
To engage with China from a position of strength. This is a new China. We need to engage with it with entirely different philosophies, both military and diplomatic. Praveen Sawhney, General Sharma and Ashok Kanta, thanks very much for joining me.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.